Hi, week 9. This semester is going really fast, and I hope I'm going slow enough that you're catching all of this and remembering what you learned last week and applying it to this week. Well, this is a little bit of a trick. 2 weeks ago, we did forest measurements, also called forest mensuration, and then we did forest management, and now we're doing timber cruising, and that is actually how we calculate the quantity and quality of the wood once we've learned to make the measurements. So stick with me, this one's short and easy. Timber cruising is the assessment of the forest species composition, density, and tree size. So I taught you how to do that with diameters, heights, and age. The main purpose is easy. It's the quantity and the quality of the timber. So if you were a homeowner or landowner, you might want to know this. And also if you were a commercial timber industry, you would want to know this. And if you were the federal Forest Service or the state Forest Service, this would be important to you as well. The other information gathered when we cruise timber is the quality of the site, the age of the stand, the species composition. We record topography, and then we decide the logging possibilities based on that, and also look at the growth rate and forest health. Now, the data is referred to as a forest inventory, and the process is called cruising, not like cruising the strip, okay? It's also, for me, when we look at the health of the forest, called a forest health inventory. Why do we do this? The information can be used for a management plan, first and foremost, for logging plans, for, of course, timber purchases and timber sales, for appraisal of the land, for the just information on the tree growth, information on the evaluation of the site, monitoring the forest health, like I said, and other forest management activities. So accomplishing the objectives in a forest management plan is done by doing a timber cruise and looking at the success of that forest management plan that was written. Quality and quantity is defined by the size and the density. So tree size, determine if it's ready for harvest and the amount of material it will yield. It's often measured in terms of board lengths, 144 cubic inches, or typically 16-foot lengths for lumber and 8-foot lengths for paper and pulpwood. If we're looking at the tree density, we can determine if thinning is needed. We also do basal area, and when applied to a plot of land containing trees, it can indicate the density of the trees within the plot. The greater the basal area, the greater the crowding or density. We'll be studying this next. There's 5 types of cruises: the 100% cruise, the average tree cruise, the eyeball cruise, the plot cruise, and the point sampling, which are the 2 that we'll be doing. Let's just look at 100% cruise first. All trees are measured in the stand. This can only be done on small areas. If you look at the amount of public land ownership in just Colorado alone, it would be quite a big task to measure every tree. The average cruising method is cruiser selects trees that represent the stand. You find an average height and diameter. The number of trees in the stand is counted, multiplied by the average. It's a little inaccurate, but in some cases it does the job. This next one is my favorite. This is the eyeball cruise, and that's where you walk out to a piece of land and you say, it's about 10 cords. So, and a very experienced cruiser can walk over the stand and make a calculated guess as to the amount of timber in the stand. And of course, it's very inaccurate. The one we're going to be learning and doing is the sample plot cruise. A fraction of the stand is measured, 2 to 20%, based on how representative that stand can be. The sample is then extrapolated to give the volume for the whole stand. We'll be doing this in a second, so you'll learn what that means. It's done usually in strips or circular plots, and the center of the tree at 4.5 foot board foot height, dBH, must be in the plot to count. That didn't really make sense. Most often, systematic sampling design is used as opposed to random sampling. So the sample plot procedure is first determining the intensity of the cruise. So should we have a 5% cruise or a 20% cruise? So you would use a low percentage for general information or a low quality cruise, and you would use a high percentage for more accuracy. Determine the number of acres to be sampled, like a 20% cruise intensity for 100 acres would be 20 acres. You draw the plots on the map systematically with equal spacing between plots, or randomly, less used, randomly scattered throughout the stand. Here's an example of a systematic layout. This is what we use in our class. And to the right is the random layout, which can be used in certain circumstances. So the method, the strips are usually 1 chain wide when you're laying them out, or 66 feet, but can be a half a chain in dense timber or 2 chains wide in sparse timber. The word chain, you might have already learned, is the old way of measuring the forest and surveying, and we actually carried these huge heavy chains through the woods. You can draw strips uniformly on the map of the area so that the area between the strips is equal. And you can put the first strip a half a chain from the boundary, so the boundary is not measured. You can run strips 90 degrees to streams and valleys, and you can also use squares or circles.